In the far reaches of the galaxy stood a mansion that seemed brighter than the stars around it. It was carved from crystal and metal, a symbol of power and wealth. People from many worlds whispered about its owner, an alien mother who was richer than kings. She had everything money could buy, yet her home felt heavy with sadness. Inside the mansion, golden halls stretched endlessly, but silence followed everywhere. In the center of this palace lived her child, a young alien girl, fragile and quiet. She sat in a shining golden wheelchair, her legs still, her face pale, her eyes full of questions. Doctors had come from distant planets. Carrying machines and medicines, they promised hope, but each left shaking their heads, unable to cure the child's paralyzed body. The mother never showed her pain before others. She was strong, proud, untouchable. But when the palace doors closed and no one was near, she broke into tears. Her sobs echoed through the empty halls, mixing with the hum of alien machines. She had endless wealth, but all her riches could not buy the one thing she desired most. She wanted to see her daughter stand, to see her walk, to see her run. That simple dream was greater than galaxies of gold. The galaxy looked at her with envy, yet behind her back they whispered cruel things. What is the use of all her money if she cannot save her only child? They said. Some even laughed, saying no science, no power, no technology could fix what was broken. The mother heard the whispers but kept her head high. Still, every night her pillow was wet with tears. The child herself felt trapped inside her body. She watched other children from her window, running, jumping, living. She touched the wheels of her chair and asked her mother, "Will I ever walk?" The mother smiled weakly and said, "One day, my star, one day." But when the child closed her eyes, the mother's smile broke into sorrow. Her heart was tearing. Knowing she was lying to keep hope alive one evening, as the alien sun dipped behind the horizon, the mother walked into the mansion's garden. There she stared at the sky, her mind storming with questions. Why me? Why her? She whispered. She would have given away every treasure, every gem, every palace just to see her child take one step. Yet the universe stayed silent. Then rumors began to spread through the galaxy. Servants whispered in the corridors. Traders spoke in the markets. There was talk of a strange species, a small and fragile race known as humans. Unlike other great civilizations, humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the richest. But they had something else, something no machine could copy. They had stubborn hearts and endless imagination. Some said humans had helped beings walk again when all others had failed. Others said it was foolishness, just rumors, just lies. The mother listened carefully, her hands trembling. For the first time in years, she felt a spark of hope inside her chest. Could these strange humans really help her daughter? Could they do what the galaxy's greatest doctors could not? Her advisors warned her, "Do not trust them, they are unpredictable, primitive, weak." But a mother's love is stronger than warnings, she whispered to herself. If there is even one chance, I must try. The child, overhearing the whispers, felt her heart race. She imagined herself standing, walking, feeling the ground under her feet. It was only a dream, but it was enough to light her spirit. For the first time she smiled in months that night. The mansion glowed under the stars, but inside 2 hearts were restless. The mother prayed silently to the universe, and the child dreamed of footsteps she had never taken. Neither of them knew that their lives were about to change. Neither of them knew that humans, looked down upon by the galaxy, were about to enter their world. And neither of them knew that this meeting would shake the stars themselves. The mansion was silent, but the galaxy outside was never quiet. In the streets of alien markets, in the smoke of trading hubs, and in the corners of space stations, a whisper began to grow. It was the kind of whisper that carried fear for some and hope for others. The whisper was about humans. Many aliens laughed when they heard the name. Humans were seen as weak, a small species from a small world. They had no great fleets, no ancient weapons, no grand empires. Yet wherever they went, strange stories followed them. A miner from the asteroid belt swore a human fixed a broken life support system with nothing but wires and tape. A merchant claimed a human once rebuilt an alien's broken wings when every healer said it was impossible. Others told of human doctors who stayed awake for days, refusing to give up on patients even when machines had stopped. The stories sounded like myths, but they refused to die. Every retelling made them stronger. In the mansion's golden halls, servants carried those rumors like fire. The mother heard them while pretending not to listen. Her advisors grew worried. Do not put faith in primitive races, they said. Humans are reckless. They play with things they do not understand. But in the mother's heart, a seed of hope had already been planted. She could not ignore it. For a mother who has tried everything, even a whisper feels like a promise. One night the child asked in a soft voice, "Mother, are humans real?" The mother hesitated, then nodded. "They are real, my star, though many do not respect them." The child's eyes lit up. "Could they help me walk?" she asked, her voice trembling with both fear and hope. The mother reached out, brushing her daughter's hair. "I do not know," she said gently, "but we will find out." And so, in secret, the mother sent out messengers. They traveled across systems, searching, asking, following trails of rumor. Most doors closed in their faces. Some laughed at the very idea. But then, in a dusty outpost on the edge of known space, a name appeared, a small group of humans, engineers, and healers who had gained quiet fame for helping those left behind by alien science. They were not rich. They had no palace. But they had something else, results. When the news reached the mansion, the mother's advisors nearly shouted in anger. "This is madness," one said. "You would risk your child with creatures who build from scraps?" Another warned, "If the council hears of this, they may strip your honor, even your fortune." But the mother stayed silent. She stared at her daughter, asleep in her chair, small hands curled against the blanket. She whispered only to herself, "I do not care what it costs." The galaxy's elites mocked her behind closed doors. What desperation makes a millionaire mother beg humans for help? They sneered, they predicted disaster, humiliation, scandal, but the mother ignored them. Her heart beat with a quiet fire, and that fire was hope. The child, though young, understood more than anyone thought. She listened to the whispers of humans like they were fairy tales. In her dreams, she saw herself standing, walking, running through the palace halls. Sometimes she woke with tears, sometimes with laughter. For the first time, her dreams were brighter than her fears. Days passed, then weeks, until finally a message returned. The humans had agreed. They were coming. The mansion buzzed with nervous energy. Servants polished floors until they glowed. Guards checked weapons, though there was no threat. The mother herself could not sleep. She paced the golden corridors, wondering if she had made the right choice. In the stillness of the night, she asked the stars, "What if they fail? What if I break her heart again?" The stars gave no answer, but deep inside, she knew she would rather try and fail than do nothing. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. Other alien nobles prepared themselves to watch the spectacle. Some prepared to laugh, some prepared to condemn. They wanted to see if humans would truly step into the halls of the mighty. They wanted to see if the whispers would burn out or ignite. And in the mansion, the child waited with wide eyes. Every sound at the door made her heart race. Every shadow made her wonder if the humans had arrived. She gripped the arms of her chair tightly, her thoughts loud with a single wish. Please let them come, please. Let them try. When the day finally came, the sky above the mansion lit with fire. A small ship, fragile compared to alien cruisers, descended slowly. Its metal was plain, its engines old. But it carried something no one else could. It carried humans. The mansion gates opened. And for the first time, the galaxy's richest palace welcomed the galaxy's most underestimated race. The air was heavy with silence, heavy with judgment. But in the eyes of the mother and the child, there was only one thing: hope. The humans stepped out of their ship. They were small compared to the towering aliens who guarded the mansion. Their clothes were simple, worn from travel, nothing like the shining robes of alien doctors, yet they carried themselves with quiet confidence. The alien nobles who had come to watch laughed openly. "Look at them," one said, "fragile, soft, no armor, no glow, no power." Another whispered, "This is a circus. The mother has truly lost her mind." But the mother did not look at the nobles. Her eyes stayed fixed on the humans, searching for something she could not explain. There were 5 of them, 3 men and 2 women. One carried a heavy case of tools, another held a small device that glowed with blue light. The leader was a woman with tired eyes but a steady gaze. She stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "We came as you asked," she said in a calm voice. "We do not promise miracles, but we promise effort." The mother's throat tightened. Her hands trembled. She was not used to hearing such words. Alien doctors had promised miracles and left her with nothing. But these humans promised only effort, strangely. It gave her more hope than all the promises before. The child was wheeled into the grand hall, her eyes wide as she saw the humans. They looked so different, so plain. Yet there was something in their eyes that caught her. They knelt before her, not as if she was a patient or a project, but as if she was important. The leader spoke gently. "May we ask you some questions, little one?" The child nodded nervously. Unlike the alien doctors who had spoken only in complex terms, the humans asked simple things. "What do you feel in your legs? Does it hurt when we touch here? What do you dream about most?" The child blinked at the last question, then whispered, "I dream of running." The humans smiled softly, and one of them said, "Then we will chase that dream with you." The watching aliens grew restless. "They waste time with childish talk," one hissed. "They should be testing machines." "Not asking about dreams," another said. But the mother watched closely, her heart stirring. For the first time, someone spoke to her daughter not as a case, but as a person. Hours passed as the humans studied her. They used strange but simple tools, wires, sensors, small machines that hummed gently. Their methods looked almost primitive compared to the galaxy's glowing technology. Yet there was something alive in their work. Something personal. They listened, they adjusted. They explained everything to the child in words she understood. And slowly a fragile trust began to grow, at last. The leader stood and faced the mother. "We see what others did not," she said quietly. "Your child's nerves are not destroyed. They are sleeping. Her body remembers how to walk. It only needs help to wake." The hall fell silent. Even the nobles stopped whispering. The mother's heart beat so hard she could barely breathe. "Can you help her?" she asked. The leader's eyes softened. "We cannot heal with magic, but we can build, and what we build may give her back what was taken." The aliens scoffed loudly. "Build? They speak of toys and scraps," one shouted. But the humans ignored the insults. They opened their cases, revealing pieces of metal, wires and strange frames. It did not look like treasure. It did not look like medicine. Yet when the child looked at it, her heart leapt. It looked like hope. The mother stepped closer, her voice shaking. "Tell me what you need," she whispered. The humans exchanged glances. Then the leader said, "Time, space, and trust." "Trust?" The mother repeated. "Yes." The leader said firmly, "We must try things others would never try. And we must fail many times before we succeed. If you cannot trust us through failure, we cannot reach success." The mother closed her eyes for a moment. She thought of the years of broken promises, of the tears she had shed alone. And then she thought of her daughter's smile when she spoke of dreams. She opened her eyes and nodded. "You will have my trust." The aliens gasped in shock. "Madness," one said. "She gives her mansion, her name, her child to primitives." But the mother no longer listened to them. Her decision was made. The child reached out her small hand toward the humans. One of them took it gently. The child whispered, "Will it hurt?" The human smiled softly. "Maybe a little. But every step forward has a little pain." The child's eyes shone, not with fear but with courage. For the first time, she felt like someone believed in her that night. The grand palace echoed with sounds it had never known before. Not the hum of alien machines, not the chants of alien doctors, but the clatter of human tools, the sparks of welding, the rhythm of work. Servants watched in disbelief, nobles whispered in secret. And in the heart of the mansion, history quietly began. The mansion, once quiet and heavy with sorrow, now echoed with strange sounds. The clatter of tools, the hiss of sparks, the hum of machines that were not alien but human. Servants peeked through doorways, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had never seen such crude work in such a perfect palace. The humans worked without rest. They did not wear glowing robes like alien doctors. They wore stained shirts, their hands blackened with grease. Yet there was something powerful in the way they moved. Every strike of a hammer, every twist of a wire carried determination. The child watched with wonder. She had grown used to the silence of alien machines that came and went, cold and lifeless, but these humans spoke as they worked. They argued, they laughed, they encouraged one another. Their energy filled the hall like fire, and the child felt warm for the first time in years. One night, the leader of the humans knelt beside the child. She held a small frame of metal shaped like a leg. "This is the beginning," she said gently. The child touched it with trembling fingers, surprised at how light it felt. "It doesn't look like magic," she whispered. The human smiled. "It isn't magic, it's effort. and effort can do what magic cannot. Days turned into weeks, and slowly a strange creation began to take form. It was not beautiful like alien machines, not smooth or polished. It was rough, full of screws, wires, and glowing nodes. Yet every piece carried hope. The humans called it an exoskeleton, a set of artificial legs powered by both machine and will. The mother walked through the workshop every day. Her heart battled between fear and faith. The nobles sent her messages mocking her, warning her. Some said she was throwing away her fortune. Others said she was insulting the galaxy's pride. But when she looked at her daughter's glowing eyes, she knew she could not turn back. At last, the day of the first test came. The humans wheeled the exoskeleton into the great hall. It stood tall, shining with raw metal and blinking lights. The child stared at it, her heart pounding. The mother held her breath, her hands trembling. Servants gathered. Guards watched, and in secret, even nobles tuned their devices to witness the moment. The humans knelt before the child. "Are you ready?" they asked softly. The child nodded, though her hands shook with fear. They carefully lifted her and placed her inside the frame. The machine wrapped gently around her legs, locking in place for the first time in her life. She was standing, not by herself, but standing. The hall gasped. The mother covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. The humans checked the controls, adjusting wires, whispering instructions. "Take it slow," the leader said. "The machine will follow your mind. But your heart must lead." The child tried to move, her body shaking. Her legs twitched inside the exoskeleton, and for a moment nothing happened. Then, with a spark of light, the frame responded. Her right foot lifted, unsteady, and fell forward, a step, a real step. The hall filled with gasps and whispers. The mother's knees weakened, her tears fell freely. But then the child stumbled, the machine losing balance. She fell, crashing to the ground, the sound echoing like thunder. The nobles watching through their devices burst into laughter. "Pathetic," they said. "A toy cannot defy the laws of nature." Some even spread messages across the galaxy, calling it the greatest failure of the age. The mother rushed forward, kneeling beside her daughter. "Are you hurt?" she cried, her hands trembling as she reached for her. The child shook her head, her voice soft but steady. "I'm not hurt. I just want to try again." The humans smiled at her courage. One of them whispered, "She has the spirit. Now we must match it with strength." They lifted her back into the frame, adjusting, tightening, improving. Every failure became a lesson. Every fall became a step forward. They refused to give up, and neither did the child. Day after day, the tests continued. Some ended with progress, others with collapse, but the child's determination grew stronger. Each time she stood, each time she moved, her eyes burned brighter. The mother watched, torn between fear and pride. She wanted to stop her daughter from falling, but she also knew, without falling, there could be no walking. The servants who once doubted began to whisper with awe. They had never seen such resilience. Even the guards, once mocking, began to nod with respect. And far away, those who mocked started to wonder if perhaps the humans were not fools after all. Late one night, the leader of the humans spoke quietly to the mother. "She is stronger than we imagined," she said. "But the final test will be the hardest, for walking is not only of the body, it is of the soul." The mother looked at her daughter, asleep in her chair, her small hands curled into fists even in dreams. "She has the soul," the mother whispered. "She only needs the chance." And so, the humans continued their work, piece by piece, failure by failure, hope by hope, until the machine was no longer just metal and wires. It was something more. It was the dream of a child, the love of a mother, and the stubborn will of humanity. It was an artificial miracle waiting to be born. The great hall of the mansion was filled with silence, not the silence of peace, but the silence of waiting. The humans stood ready, their hands steady though their hearts raced. The mother sat near, her fingers twisting together, afraid to breathe too loudly. And in the center of it all was the child, strapped into the final version of the exoskeleton. It looked stronger now, more stable, more alive. Weeks of failure had shaped it. Every bolt, every wire, every glowing joint carried lessons of struggle. It was no longer just a machine, it was hope forged from pain. The child's eyes shone with both fear and courage. She knew the galaxy was watching, even if she could not see them. Nobles had tuned in through hidden screens. Servants whispered in corners. Guards stood like statues. Some wanted her to rise, others wanted her to fail. But in her small heart, only one voice mattered, her own. She wanted to walk. The leader of the humans knelt down and adjusted the controls. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed her nerves. "Remember," she said softly, "the machine will follow your mind. It will listen to the signal inside you. Do not force it, guide it." The child nodded. Swallowing her fear, the mother leaned forward, her breath shaking, her eyes wet. "You can do this." "My star," she whispered. The human stepped back. The hall seemed to hold its breath. The child tightened her hands on the grips of the frame. She closed her eyes and thought of the one thing that had carried her through sleepless nights. She thought of running, of laughing, of chasing light through the gardens of her home. She thought of freedom, and then slowly, the machine responded. Her right leg lifted, stiff and trembling. The exoskeleton groaned softly, lights flickering. For a moment it seemed it would fail again. But then her foot came down, a step. The hall gasped. The sound like a wave crashing through silence. The mother covered her face with her hands, a sob breaking free. The humans exchanged looks of wonder, their exhaustion forgotten. But the child was not done. She focused again. This time her left leg moved. It shook violently as if unsure, but then landed beside the first. Another step? Her body wavered, the machine tilted. The mother half rose from her seat, ready to run to her. But the humans held out their hands, stopping her gently. "Let her try," they said. The child's breaths came fast, her chest rising and falling. Sweat rolled down her forehead, her small frame shaking inside the machine. Every muscle in her body seemed to scream. But her spirit burned brighter. She took another step and another, each one stronger than the last. Tears fell from the mother's eyes, not of sorrow but of disbelief. For years she had prayed for this moment. For years she had been told it was impossible. And now, before her eyes, her daughter was walking, not perfectly, not smoothly, but walking. The hall was no longer silent. Servants cried openly. Guards lowered their heads in respect. Even the nobles, watching from afar, felt their pride crack. They whispered in disbelief. Humans did this. Humans made her walk. The child stopped and looked around the hall, her eyes wet but shining. She turned to her mother and spoke in a trembling voice. "Mother, I can walk." The words were soft, yet they carried the weight of stars. The mother collapsed to her knees, her cries echoing through the hall. Her wealth, her power, her pride meant nothing now. She saw only her child standing on her own 2 feet. The humans stood quietly, their faces glowing not with pride but with relief. They knew the battle was not over. There would be more trials, more falls, but at that moment, they had given back what the galaxy had taken away. They had given a child her first steps. The child's small hands tightened on the grips of the machine. She took another step, then another. Her movements were clumsy, but her smile was brighter than any star. She laughed, a sound the mansion had not heard in years, and with every shaky step, that laughter grew louder, filling the hall with light. The mother crawled forward on her knees and wrapped her arms around her daughter. The exoskeleton buzzed softly between them, but they did not care. The mother's tears soaked her child's shoulder as she whispered again and again, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Outside the mansion, the news spread faster than fire, across planets, across stations, across the void of space. The story of the paralyzed child who walked because of humans reached every ear. Some refused to believe it, others refused to accept it, but none could ignore it. And in the great hall, under the glow of alien chandeliers, a miracle had taken its first steps, a fragile, trembling miracle. But a miracle all the same. The child stood tall, her eyes shining with pride. The mother wept with joy, and the humans, silent and humble, knew they had written themselves into the stars. The moment the child spoke the words, "I can walk," the mansion changed forever. For years its halls had carried only silence, now they carried laughter and tears. The mother fell to her knees, unable to hold herself upright. Her hands clutched her child as if she would never let go. The nobles who had mocked her fell into shocked silence across the galaxy. Their screens flickered with the sight of the child standing. Some stared with wide eyes, unable to believe what they saw. Others grew bitter, angry that something so impossible had been done by humans. The mother did not care what the galaxy thought. Her body shook as she sobbed into her daughter's chest. Her tears wet the child's hair, and her voice cracked as she whispered again and again, "My star, my little star, you are walking. You are truly walking." The child hugged her back, Smiling through her own tears, her small voice trembled. "Mother, I told you I would run one day." The mother's heart broke all over again, but this time it broke with joy. She pressed her forehead against her daughter's, whispering, "You are stronger than the universe itself." The humans stood quietly at a distance. They had seen victories before, but none like this. One of them rubbed his eyes quickly, pretending dust had gotten inside. Another looked at the child with pride, whispering, "This is why we never give up." But outside the walls of the mansion, the whispers grew louder. Messages raced through the networks, carrying both awe and outrage. Humans made a crippled child walk, some said. Blasphemy. They have interfered with what fate decided. Others argued. In the chambers of power, alien leaders frowned. For long ago, the Galactic Council had written strict laws. Humans were forbidden from interfering in alien biology. Inside the hall, the mother finally lifted her head, her face wet and red from crying. She looked at the humans with eyes that burned with gratitude. "You gave me back my child," she whispered, her voice breaking. "No treasure in the galaxy can repay this. But know this, my life is yours." The leader of the humans shook her head gently. "We did not come for treasure or reward," she said. "We came because your child deserved the chance, and because we could not turn away." The mother bowed low, something she had never done to anyone. Servants gasped, for to see her bow was to see a star dim itself. Yet she bowed without shame, her tears falling to the floor. The child took another step. Her laughter echoing, the servants wept openly. Even the guards' stone faces cracked. Hope filled the air like a storm of light. And yet in the shadows, danger was rising, far away. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, alarms were already ringing. Humans had crossed a forbidden line. To them, it did not matter that a child now walked. What mattered was that humanity had once again proved dangerous, too stubborn, too unpredictable. They feared what humans might do if left unchecked. But in the mansion, none of this mattered yet. The mother's heart was too full to care for politics. She collapsed again at her daughter's feet, her cries shaking her body. She whispered over and over, "Forgive me. Forgive me for all the years I could not help you. Forgive me for believing it was impossible." The child stroked her mother's hair gently, her own voice soft. "You never gave up on me, Mother, and that is why I can walk now." The nobles who once mocked her now bowed their heads, ashamed of their words. Some turned away. Unable to face the truth, others watched closely, calculating what this miracle could mean. If humans could do this, what else could they do? The humans continued adjusting the machine, ensuring the child did not collapse, but their leader's eyes grew serious. She knew the council would not ignore this. She whispered quietly to her team, "We must prepare. This victory will not be welcomed by all." The child, unaware of politics, kept moving, each step steadier than the last, her laughter rising like music. The mother followed her on her knees, her tears never stopping, for in her eyes, this was not just walking, this was rebirth. The hall's golden walls reflected the scene, an alien millionaire mother, broken by love, kneeling before her child. A child who had defied fate. A child who had walked because of humans, and above them, unseen but certain. The eyes of the galaxy watched, some with wonder, some with envy, and some with hatred, but for that moment, inside the walls of the mansion, none of it mattered. There was only a mother's tears, a child's laughter, and the quiet hum of a human-made miracle. The miracle could not be hidden. No wall, no gate, no guard could keep it contained. The image of the child walking spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. From the smallest mining colonies to the grandest space stations, every being spoke the same words. The paralyzed child walks because of humans. In the markets, traders repeated the tale with awe. In the courts of nobles, rulers whispered with fear. And in the great chamber of the Galactic Council, leaders shouted with anger. For to them, this was not a miracle. It was a violation. The ancient law was clear. Humans were not allowed to interfere with alien biology. The law was made long ago when humanity first entered the stars. Other species saw them as reckless, too bold, too willing to touch what should not be touched now. The miracle in the mansion had confirmed their fears. If humans could make a child walk, what else could they change? Inside the mansion, the mother cared nothing for laws. Her child was walking, laughing, living. Every step she took erased years of pain. But the mother knew deep in her heart that punishment was coming. She saw it in the serious eyes of the humans. She felt it in the silence that fell after the laughter faded. One evening, the leader of the humans spoke quietly to her. "We must leave soon," she said. "The council will not forgive this. They may punish not only us but you and your child." The mother's face hardened, her tears drying into fire. "No," she said, "you will not leave. If they want to punish, let them come for me. I will not betray the ones who gave me back my daughter." The child stood nearby, listening, her small voice cutting through the heavy air. "If they come, I will walk to them myself," she said, her eyes burning. The humans looked at one another. Stunned by her courage, the mother hugged her tightly, whispering, "No, my star. You will walk only toward life, never toward chains, but beyond the mansion." The galaxy was already dividing. Some species cried out for punishment, demanding the humans be banned, exiled, or even destroyed. They feared what humanity's stubborn heart could do. Others, however, whispered a different thought. If humans can do this, perhaps we need them. Perhaps they are not a threat but a gift. The council called an emergency meeting. Screens lit across the galaxy, broadcasting the debate. One counselor shouted, "They broke the law. They must be punished," another argued. "Look at the child. Is that not proof that laws can be wrong?" The chamber shook with fury and fear. But among the voices, one truth could not be silenced. Humanity had done what the galaxy could not. Back in the mansion, the mother prepared for the storm. She called her servants and guards, giving clear orders. "No human in this palace will be harmed. They are under my protection," she said. The servants bowed, moved by her courage. The guards, once doubtful, swore loyalty with iron in their voices. The child trained each day. Walking longer, standing taller, each step became a symbol, a spark of defiance when she laughed. It was not just the laughter of a child. It was the laughter of victory, the laughter of a future stolen back from despair. Finally, the council sent envoys to the mansion. They arrived in ships that glowed with authority, carrying the weight of law. They entered the golden halls expecting fear, but they found a mother standing tall, her child at her side and humans who did not bow. The envoy's voice rang cold. "You have broken galactic law. You have brought humans where they should not tread. What do you say for yourself?" The mother stepped forward, her eyes unshaken. "I say this," she declared. "If your laws forbid a child from walking, then your laws are chains, and I will never wear them." Gasps filled the hall. The envoy turned to the humans, demanding, "Why did you interfere?" The human leader answered calmly, "Because we could. Because no one else would, because to us effort matters more than permission." The envoy raised a hand, but before punishment could be spoken, the child took a step forward, her exoskeleton whirred softly, her small voice rising clear. "I was told I would never walk, but I am walking now, if that is a crime. Then I am guilty too." Silence fell heavier than stone, for in that moment, the council's envoys realized what the galaxy had already begun to see. This was not just a human act. It was a human spirit, unstoppable, undeniable, unafraid. The envoys left without passing judgment. The council would debate for years, but the truth was already alive. Across the stars, more beings began seeking humans, not for their power, not for their wealth, but for their courage to try where others would not. The mother, once mocked as desperate, became a symbol of defiance. The child, once seen as broken, became a beacon of hope. And the humans, once dismissed as weak, became the race that dared to reach into the impossible and pull out miracles. The mansion no longer felt heavy with sorrow. Its halls rang with footsteps, unsteady but proud. The mother walked beside her child, tears still in her eyes but now filled with joy. And the humans watched quietly, knowing they had changed more than one life. They had changed the galaxy. For in a universe of riches and laws, it was not power that brought a miracle. It was not treasure, nor authority, nor ancient science. It was the stubborn heart of humanity, a heart that refused to give up, a heart that believed effort could move stars. And in the end, that heart became a legacy written forever in the stars.